Hey guys, breaking news for you today. Turns out Donald Trump had another pardon recently that doesn't really make a lot of sense. He pardoned Democratic Representative Henry Cuellar of Texas. Cuellar he was indicted recently for money laundering, conspiracy, and bribery. So apparently, some oil Azerbaijan is an oil and gas country from the Middle East. Paid him a bunch of money to curry favors for him within the U.S. government. That's what he was indicted for. The evidence was pretty clear that he did it, and Donald Trump just pardoned him. The vast majority of the pardons at this point, you have to just they're trolls, right? Like why else would he pardon the Honduras guy for drugs? And then that's just the last one. I can't remember the last few, but he's got to be trolling at this point because none of these pardons make sense. They simply don't. So let's try to dig into this a little bit deeper and see why it is that Donald Trump is doing the weird things that he is doing.
Just moments ago announcing he is pardoning Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar of Texas. Cuellar was charged last year with bribery and acting as a foreign agent, facing allegations of taking hundreds of thousands of dollars from an Azerbaijan state-owned oil company and a Mexican bank. MS Now's Jake Traylor's back with us from the White House, along with Kevin Fry from Capitol Hill. Jake, what's the president's justification for this new pardoning?
Yeah, Anna, obviously this is a breaking scene. We are right now reaching out to a handful of White House officials to understand the true kind of backing from the president in this somewhat unique pardon of a Democratic congressman who faces a dozen charges of bribery, money laundering, and conspiracy. But what we know so far from that Truth Social post really is the framing from President Trump here when he says that this congressman was wrongfully convicted by, he says, for speaking out against essentially Biden's administration and their border policy. And this is something really we have seen from Donald Trump and some of his other pardons from his first administration, from his second administration as well. Well, where really, depending, regardless if it's a Republican or Democrat or somewhere in between that he is pardoning, if it's someone that aligns with criticism of some of his political opponents, he is quick to jump in and issue that pardon. This is not something completely new from President Trump. We've seen him earlier this summer be vocally supportive of the congressman in his longstanding battle and charges that were faced against him. We're, of course, going to come back with more as soon as some White House officials share some of the detailed reasoning behind the president's, what seems like somewhat surprise pardon of this individual. But I will say the president's framing there is unique, where he is saying that this is due to the fact that the representative for a long time was critical of the border policy of the Biden administration. That's something Trump's very in alignment with, and we'll continue to read out more on where White House officials' thinking is on this surprise pardon.
Yeah, and I should note, I believe he was indicted. I'm not sure he's been convicted at this point, that his case was still working its way through the justice system. Kevin, remind us more of the details related to the case against Cuellar.
Yeah, I mean, it should be noted, as Jake was just hinting at, I mean, this is a Democrat that has survived multiple kind of primary challenges, even in the face of those various accusations against him. He was supposed to go to trial with his wife coming up next year, I believe in the April timeframe. But now that seemingly is going to be off the table. What is remarkable about this, when it comes to this bribery charges, et cetera, is that he, of course, was representing a district that Trump won by approximately 7 points last go around. And this is a district that we should say stretches to the border itself of Texas, southern end of Texas. And this is obviously an area where he has been kind of this odd, more conservative Democrat, where he has taken issue with his party, with the Biden administration, over their handling of border policy. He's broken with his party on various other issues when it comes to abortion at times, when it comes to trans athletes' rights, for example. And so he has kind of navigated this very interesting position where Democrats maybe weren't comfortable with the various charges he was facing, but at the same time knew he was the only really viable candidate that could perhaps survive in this sort of district. And so he has always walked a fine line within his own party. And now Trump is removing these charges off the table. So seemingly that kind of opens up a whole new possibility for his own political survival.
And I know it's early, Kevin, because this just happened. Are you hearing anything there on Capitol Hill in reaction to this?
We have seen nothing yet. I have not seen anything from Cuellar himself, though I'm sure we will be tracking him and others down this afternoon when the House decides that they need to vote this evening.
Okay.
So yeah, Cuellar is an interesting guy just because he is a Democrat, but he's getting elected in Texas, and he's just in a very conservative place. So if you're running for office in his district, like you can't be okay with transgender people. You can't be okay with with the border being open. There's just you're gonna have to agree with President Trump on some things to win that district. But at the same time, like what this guy got, in trouble for is just, it doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. Like, this guy is most likely a criminal. He's still got to go to trial, do his thing, but this guy, the chances that he didn't do what he's accused of is very low. So again, we'll just go through this real quick. An indictment was unsealed today in the Southern District of Texas, charging U.S. Congressman Henry Cuellar and his wife with participating in two schemes involving bribery, unlawful foreign influence, and money laundering. Congressman Cuellar and his wife made their additional court appearance today. According to the documents, back in 2014, all the way up to 2021, that he allegedly accepted $6,000 in bribes from foreign entities, an oil and gas company wholly owned and controlled by the government of Azerbaijan, and a bank headquartered in Mexico City. Bribe payments were allegedly laundered pursuant to sham consulting contracts through a series of front companies and middlemen into shell companies owned by his wife, who performed little to no legitimate work under the contracts. In exchange for the bribes paid for Azerbaijan oil and gas company, Congressman Cuellar allegedly agreed to use his office to influence U.S. foreign policy in favor of Azerbaijan. In exchange for the bribes paid by the Mexican bank, Congressman allegedly agreed to influence legislative activity and to advise and pressure high-ranking U.S. executive bank officials regarding measures beneficial to the bank. They're both charged with 2 counts of conspiracy or bribery of a federal official and to have official act as an agent under the and they were supposed to register the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Both be up to 5 years in prison. 2 counts of bribery of an official, 15 years for that. 2 counts of violating the ban on public officials acting as agents of foreign principal required to register under FARA. This type of bribery, this type of things that go on with Congress has been going on for a long time, and me for one, I'm all for it. Charge him for this crap. This is the kind of stuff that's been going on in our government since day one, and it's what goes on in third world countries. It's what goes on around the world, and it's what keeps people down. Whether he did this or not, I would love to see this go to trial, and see what happened exactly. Facts aside on this one, Donald Trump put out a truth on this shortly after, I believe. I think that's maybe how we know that he pardoned him. It's not like, we find out through the White House official channels. It's like we find out stuff through truth, which is, it's weird in its own. But anyway, this truth, basically, he tells you straight up why he did it. For years, the Biden administration weaponized the justice system against their political opponents and anyone who disagreed with them. One of the clearest examples of this was when Crooked Joe used the FBI and DOJ to take out a member of his own party after highly respected Congressman Henry Cuellar bravely spoke out against the open borders and the Biden border catastrophe. Sleepy Joe went after the congressman and even after the congressman's wonderful wife, simply for speaking the truth. It is un-American, and as I previously stated, they highlight stay with the far left agenda, if left unchecked. This is unhinged, what this is. So what he's saying essentially is that since Cuellar spoke negatively about Joe Biden, he's going to pardon him, and he's okay with him because he spoke out negatively against Joe Biden. What is that? Cuellar's response: I want to thank President Trump for his tremendous leadership and for taking the time to look at the facts. I thank God for standing with my family and during this difficult time. This decision clears the air and lets us move forward for South Texas. This pardon gives us a clean slate. The noise is gone, the work remains, and I intend to meet it head on. Thank you, Mr. President. God bless. This man should go to prison. That is the comment that a guilty person makes. This is all very disappointing. This is all very disappointing to hear this. So Donald Trump is saying that he's pardoning him essentially because Cuellar, spoke out against Joe Biden. That's how much Donald Trump hates Joe Biden. If you speak negatively against him Oh, also you have to be a rich person too. You're okay with me, and if you committed a crime, I'll just pardon you for it. You're fine. Don't worry about it. This is the most corrupt president of our lifetimes, and this is just another example of the corruption, and we still have 3 more years of this kind of crap to put up with. God help us all.